Yo, 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 yo.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the BeatLance podcast. Today we got an interesting episode for you guys today. We'll be talking about the evolution of Young Money.
So not just the evolution of Young Money, but today we're going to be doing a two-part special. First part is where we talk about Young Money, Cash Money, also known to some as YMC and B. And then the second episode, we're going to be talking about richgang. So these two topics, they're very so much intertwined. You can't mention richgang without mentioning YMC and B or Young Money, Cash Money, whatever you want to say. I mean, but when we get deeper into this episode, we're going to distinguish specifically between Cash Money, Young Money, and richgang. It's three different entities, but it kind of get confusing like along the history line because at one point in time, richgang was a whole different set of people. But either which way, let's get into it.
Right. Yeah, like Cream said, they basically bleed into each other. So we'll start off talking about Cash Money when they were first formed. Cash Money came around in 91, established by Birdman and Slim. As we all know, they are brothers. They are the founders of Cash Money. And then going a few years later into 96 was when the Hot Boys was formed with Lil Wayne, BG, Juvenile, and Turk. Juvenile, who was probably the most popular member on the side of Lil Wayne, he dropped a few solo projects that I think one of them went like 4 times platinum or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then you had Lil Wayne dropping his first set of debut albums around this time, like his first set of solo albums around this time, when he wasn't, as much of a household name. When you go from his solo albums, when they came out, you have like The Block is Hot, 500 Degrees, stuff like that. And then 03 was when the majority of the Hot Boys members actually left Cash Money, leaving Lil Wayne on his own with Birdman, which is a big mistake because we all know what happened with Lil Wayne after they left, and he went on his own permanently. Well, not permanently.
Can we assume as the audience that they left because, let's just say there was like disputes in the label?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely was something going on behind the scenes.
Yeah,
that caused them to leave. Well,
and we definitely see that same thing in the future around 2015.
2016-ish, with Birdman and Lil Wayne having a little dispute. But we
talk Carter 5,
when he wouldn't let him drop the album, some type of money disagreement. I don't really know the whole logistics of it.
I read the situation. I'll talk about it later.
Yeah, when we get to that part of the timeline. But after 03, when Lil Wayne left as a sole member, a few years later in 05 is when they actually started the Young Money Entertainment record label.
Young Money Entertainment. Actually, in 2009, around the same time, Lil Wayne stepped down as the president of Young Money. He actually gave it to his best friend, Mark Main.
The signing Drake and nickiminaj in the same year around this time was kind of a risk on Lil Wayne's part, but obviously it paid off.
To keep it even more understandable, we're going to leave richgang for the second episode. We're going to mention richgang a lot just because similar members. So this first episode, we're going to stick to Young Money and Cash Money. The first album that they ever dropped together as a whole collaborative team would definitely be We Are Young Money.
Right.
So We Are Young Money was released in December 2009. So of course, We Are Young Money, it debuted at number 9 on Billboard 200. Mm-hmm. And it also went gold. So it sold 500,000 records in total, officially. So, of course, We Are Young Money. The first song that you would definitely think of is Bedrock. So Bedrock is like one of the most iconic songs of our generation. You can play Bedrock in a car right now. If someone doesn't know at least the lyrics to Lil Wayne, Drake, actually, if someone doesn't know the lyrics to the whole song, mm-hmm. you can kind of say that they should be punished.
Basically, yeah.
Where were you in our childhood? Like, that was a very critical part of our childhood. If you don't know the song, if you don't know the lyrics to Bedrock, I can't talk to you.
Yeah. Even with Bedrock, I think all this album came, Roger That too.
Yeah.
It was a few other, like, just classics.
It was Steady Mobbin', We Like Girls, Roger That. A lot of people like the regular faces. So it would have been Drake, Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj, Tyga, Gutta Gutta,
Mm-hmm.
Mark Man, Little Twist, Little Chucky,
That's Chucky.
just nostalgic. All those old faces and names
Mm-hmm.
really brings back your childhood. But either which way, um, they came back together in another year. So Birdman being both basically the owner of Cash Money and Young Money,
Mm-hmm.
he saw fit in 2013 that, hey, let's not do like a super like album. Birdman was like, you know what? Why not? Let me be the Nick Fury of the rap game and just start this.
Mm-hmm.
So he was the original Nick Fury. DJ Khaled took
Before
over.
DJ Khaled, a
Yeah.
couple years later. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. So Rich Gang was actually created by Birdman because he was like, he wants a super compilation album. So yeah, of course, Birdman was like, let's put together Cash Money and Young Money. So eventually, the artists did come together and they recorded Rich Gang All Stars. So Rich Gang All Stars was the collaboration mixtape preparation of the actual album. So All Stars is kind of redundant because, if you have three people such as Drake, Nicki Minaj, and Lil Wayne on one album, you don't really have to say All Stars anymore. At that point, it's just like whatever the name of the group is. Because once you know the name of the group, you know everybody else. So then Rich Gang was born. So Rich Gang, the original Rich Gang, had nothing to do with Young Thug and Richhomiequan. The original Rich Gang was actually just a compilation between the greatest artists between
Young
Young
Money
Money
and
and Cash
Cash
Money.
Money. Mm-hmm.
So it's a huge difference. So it's two different versions of Rich Gang. That's what we were trying to get across the screen earlier.
So 2013 was the release of the first Rich Gang album. 2014 was the release of the third the third album under the Young Money label, which was Young Money: Rise of an Empire, that had trophies on it, and We All Right with Lil Wayne.
Looking at
So,
Us
mm-hmm.
from Nicki
So
Minaj. Don't forget Senile with Tyga.
I forgot about Senile. I forgot about Senile. So that's another classic right there. But
Oh, and before
around,
I let you speak, sorry. You know that Trophies was originally on Nothing Was the Same?
yeah. And then I don't remember why it wasn't on there though.
It
Like
just didn't
why
make the cut.
it doesn't make the cut. Yeah. But around this time, this is kind of when the whole dissension of Young Money, Cash Money, YMCMB started to fall, because you have, I think that this was the year when the beef between Lil Wayne and Birdman really started to gain traction. And then the following year, in 2015, was when the lawsuit actually came into fruition, where Lil Wayne was asking for, I think, about 50 million, somewhere around there, from
51.
Birdman, 51 million from Birdman. Over the years, I guess Birdman was taking money off of like what Lil Wayne should have been receiving from all
Yeah,
of
they
this.
calculated it one year and there was like almost $100 million.
Mm-hmm. I remember seeing
Yeah,
a
it was like
report.
100 mil that
It
he
was
owed.
it was basically, it was more than what the lawsuit was filed for. I remember
Yeah.
that.
But he owed Nicki Minaj, Lil Wayne, and Drake. It
Andre
was just that
money.
Lil Wayne was the only one who made the noise about it.
Yeah, and I assume it's probably because Lil Wayne he was the one who was the head of the record label under it. And I'm pretty sure this around this time too was when Drake and Nicki they started like stop associating with Birdman as much, and was kind of with Wayne more, kind of trying to differentiate fully between Cash Money as being a separate label and Young Money being.
But unfortunately, Nicki Minaj and Drake and used to be Lil Wayne. Well, as of today, Nicki Minaj and Drake are still signed to both Young Money and Cash Money. So even Drake's, like, they switch it. I'm not really sure when it comes to legality and the technicalities of like contracts and stuff like that when you come with the labels. But if you go and analyze it properly, Drake releases certain albums under Cash Money, like let's say for example Scorpion. He released Scorpion under Cash Money, but let's just say I think God's Plan, he released it under Young Money. So it kind of gets confusing, even though when you look at it, Young Money is still technically under Cash Money.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I know. Well, in the recent years, after the lawsuit was actually settled and it was completed, it was settled like around 2018. they kind of completely separated. Well, I don't know how much it is, but I know as of right now, Lil Wayne has like complete ownership of Young Money, because I know it was Lil Wayne. I mean, not Lil Wayne. Birdman had about close to 50%, not 50% exactly. But after the lawsuit was settled, Lil Wayne took all of Birdman's percentages of his ownership of Young Money. So I still don't know if it's still labeled as Young Money under Cash Money, or if it's just Young Money under like UMG or something like that. But I know beforehand it was a big the legal dispute was Lil Wayne wasn't getting his money, and then around this time Lil Wayne wasn't dropping any actual albums between 2015 and 2018. And that's when he's dropping a bunch of mixtapes. He dropped No Ceilings 2. Remember, he dropped Holly Grove with 2 Chainz, and that was supposed to be that big collab tape. Mm-hmm. But that was supposed to be that big collab tape. But what had happened was, since Lil Wayne was still under legal dispute, he legally couldn't be named as a full artist on the album. So they had him labeled as like a feature or something like that on almost all of the songs. I don't know if it's still like that, but I know that's how it was when it first came out.
So there are 2 main factors in the relationship between Birdman and Lil Wayne coming to an end. Mm-hmm. You had Birdman not wanting Lil Wayne to release music, such as the Carter 5. And you also had Birdman not allowing people like Lil Wayne to get their royalties from their songs and stuff like that. But see, the biggest problem is a lot of new artists, they come inside the game thinking that they get most of their money from their label. So if a label comes up to you right now and say, hey, sign to us for $1 million, a young artist is obviously going to take it. When it comes to labels, you have to really read your contract and look at it, because even like a few months ago, Megan Thee Stallion was in legality disputes just because, she wasn't getting all the money for all the singles she was putting out. Megan Thee Stallion is undoubtedly the most famous female rapper in the world right now.
Right now, yeah.
And you know what it is for someone to be putting out hits after hits after hits, but they ain't really getting no money. Come on.
Not making no sense. So
not making sense.
And I know recent rappers right now who aren't signed to a label, they're trying to keep it that way unless they start in their own label. And then you have rappers who are signed to label. They I know there's something called United Masters. That's where the only artist I know of right now who, top of my head, is signed to them is Annalie Chopper. And basically his contract is he signed with a label, they push his music and stuff like that. However, he keeps almost probably not every dollar.
Most of the royalties.
Yeah, but yeah, most of the royalty, and he keeps his masters he gets to decide what he wants to do with his music. It isn't the label just giving it out to whoever, bids the top dollar. So I know a lot of artists are doing that right now to try to keep their masters, because the masters and royalties is where majority of their money actually come from.
Yeah, this episode definitely was. We planned for it to be short. Usually our episodes are around 30 minutes on average, but yeah, we planned for it to be short. This is a 2-part special, so we don't really want to ramble too much about the next episode. That's going to be dropping like directly after this, probably like a few days after we drop this one. But the plot of the next episode is basically the second Richgang, the homecoming, youngthug and richhomiequan. That's probably like the part that everybody wants to hear from the most. I mean, my take on the whole situation of Young Money, Cash Money, Richgang, and all that good stuff. Things happen. You sign with someone hoping to become a millionaire in a few years. Things happen. You can't, honestly, no one knows it's about to happen. So really and truly, Lil Wayne saw himself in a position where he can boost his popularity, he can boost his name in the rap game, all that good stuff. So of course he took all the deals and stuff with Birdman. You can't really blame him. Same thing happened to everybody with Suge Knight. They really needed something. If you're gonna try and make it in the game, your best bet is trying to sign right off the bat. But a lot of people don't really have the time to do that.
And I know with Lil Wayne and Birdman, their dynamic is kind of unique because they kind of have like a father-son.
Well, it used to be a father-son for sure.
Well, yeah, it used to be before the whole thing happened. But I know as of now, I think they've reconciled.
Birdman and Lil Wayne took it to lengths that wasn't even necessary. A lot of you guys don't even know this, but one of Young Thug's best friends went to jail for Young Thug because Young Thug he shot fired Well,
Lil Wayne tour bus, right?
yeah, tour bus,
Mm-hmm.
the tour bus. So it's kind of funny because like you have all these people just in this feud, but nobody really knows what happened.
Mm-hmm. There's just a bunch of behind the scenes stuff.
Just a bunch of behind the scenes stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
you have Young Thug's one of his closest friends getting arrested for like 10 years. I think he actually got life. It may be life or 10 years, one of the two. I can't, no, 10 years, 10 years, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But it was 10 years because Young Thug and Lil Wayne were supposedly in some type of beef. And the only reason why those two specific rappers were beefing was because Birdman was somewhere in the middle. Now, I'm not going to be honest, pretend like I know the story word for word. No one does.
No.
Birdman probably doesn't even know himself why he was having beef with Lil Wayne. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah,
But really and truly, it shows the evolution. You had this dude under your belt for how 20 years. Lil Wayne was your protege. He was your Robin. You were Batman. And you really just screwed him over, and out of nowhere, in less than a year, you picked up. I mean, I'm not talking bad about richhomiequan or Young Thug, but you picked these two guys up and you just them like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would take it a certain type of way too. If I was Lil Wayne, if you stole money from me all this time, it's supposed to be some type of father figure.
Father.
Yeah, and then you go and do something like that to me. If I was Lil Wayne, I feel the same way. So you can't really blame him for for his actions, stuff like that, wanting to distance himself from that whole situation.
Yeah, but I can honestly say I'm happy that it kind of happened because, let's be honest, without richgang, there would have been no Young Thug as we know it. He probably still would have been 10, 17 Thug somewhere.
Mm-hmm. So, everything happens for a reason, basically.
Everything basically happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy just because Young Thug has his own label now.
Oh, yeah, he does. So, is this label under Cash Money? Or
300. No, it's under 300.
300? Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. We'll see you guys in relatively a few days for the second part of this episode. So in the second part of the episode, we're going to still be talking about Young Thug, Lil Wayne, stuff like that. But we're going to get more deep into the richgang side of it and what actually happened between the two. This episode, we are very vague just because we wanted to keep the topics separated. It doesn't make sense to do two different topics that are similar, but then talk about the same things for 2 episodes straight. So you want to kind of keep it different in a way, even though they're similar. Just 2 different explanations, I guess I'm trying to say. But regardless, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in with BeatLance and B.
Peace.